it's not going to last longer than 20 minutes, but it gives space to stuff that's important in a relationship, and it allows us to stay on top of things. It's not a moment to whinge and whine. It's a moment to be constructive and really keep growing and keep learning about each other. I think it's useful to have that boundary, because sometimes if it's late at night, or we're busy, or we're stressed, or we're not expecting it, and our partner suddenly comes at us with something, it can escalate, and maybe it doesn't have the right boundaries around it. So I do always recommend that. I think that's a great practice to do.
No, I love that, because it's, people who get these sort of anxious feelings about a relationship, that we're drifting apart, and they don't have a way of communicating without it turning into a fight. And I really
That's
like
right.
that idea of actually an agreed time, a safe space, that
Yeah.
you have set rules, that you can't just go in and go, well, you said that,
Yeah.
and well, you said, and because it's like this
Yeah.
emotional defense, that you always see the other
Mm.
person as the bad guy. It's never your fault. It's always them that has done something.
Mm.
And taking away that emotion, taking away that drama, like you say, I love that idea, like, because how many people do you see having like proper screaming matches, and like
Yeah.
when they're out with friends because
Absolutely.
something's clicked off? I mean, I've seen
Yeah.
plenty of friends, and I've put up with a lot of crap in relationships because I didn't want to bring something in at the time.
Mm.
And you almost wonder, then, do you carry that into the next relationship? That as soon as you see that
Mm.
behavior, you then sabotage it because you think,
Yeah.
I'm not letting them do that, where it's maybe
Yeah.
completely different dynamics. What other sort of
Yeah.
things can relationships do to keep healthy? Is there any other sort of
Yeah.
communication methods we can sort of implement?
Well, I think just learning to communicate with a bit of care, and with a bit of, keeping ourselves really focused on being constructive, because you're right, we can develop so many bad habits from previous relationships. And those are habits that we will then absolutely take into our next relationship. Or we get inevitably hurt or wounded in previous relationships, and then we've got all this extra stuff that we're bringing with us. So,
Mm,
as life goes on, life doesn't get easier, it doesn't get simpler, it doesn't get sort of less frightening. It becomes more and more challenging, because we've lived more of life, and life is challenging. So I think, yeah, the relationship meeting is good, because it allows us to stay on top of things, and it doesn't allow us to bury our head in the sand. We're sort of, everyone kind of in a way has to speak up, but because it's safe, that's what really heals us, is creating safety in our relationships. And that then extends to, as well, how we do communicate with one another. So I'm very keen on like learning phrases, ways to start saying things, or ways to address each other. And I always am also very encouraging of flirting and playfulness in relationships, because I want those to become the new habits. The sort of,
mm,
the old habits are habits that we've learned from previous relationships, and also the habits that were modeled to us by our parents, who probably weren't sort of super passionate, flirty, fun, exciting relationships. Probably we can observe ways of communicating with our parents that aren't always healthy as well. So we've got a lot to be sort of pushing against, trying to do things a little bit better in our lives. And I certainly notice when I'm working with clients, they have lost the ability to really share what is going on for them, or to be able to feel that they can just speak up.